Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Jared Brandon.
Keith Jenkins.
Keith Jenkins is a new guest of ours. He is a friend of mine and a fellow guitar enthusiast extraordinaire and a local musician who I get the pleasure to play with every now and then as a musician. Not as play date or anything. That's weird. Yeah, me, Todd, Novak, and our guest interview today,
Mike Trombley
of
Red House Electronics.
All right, and
my apprentice Luke Ball. Yes, kind of helping me out here. I don't know if you want to say anything.
Hey.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, so we were pretty interested in finding out more about Red House as much as we can.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into the interview, as everybody who normally listens to this knows how this goes. First, we're going to talk about what's going on in our music world. We have a lot to talk about, so I'm just going to dive right in. Keith.
Sweet.
Ooh, I get to start?
Yeah, why not?
My most recent musical update is I picked up one of those Billy Corgan BC1 Reverend guitars. Mm-hmm. The pickups in that thing are insane. I got to use it out at our gig a few weeks ago, so that's been...
And it looks badass,
too. It
too.
does. I mean, I think I buy everything based on looks anyway.
Yeah. Well, just touch on this real quick, because...
Aesthetics.
I just wanted to get in, but now I'm going to backtrack and like give colors. One of the reasons that I like talking to Keith about gear is that he has, first of all, he really likes gear, like maybe even more than me.
I don't know.
And you have a penchant for, is this where you say Reverend guitars?
Well, I didn't know if we were plugging any specific brands. You know what I love about Reverends? So if we're talking about that now,
we'll get into a fuller version of that later. So
but the simple fact is, I mean, they're a really cool brand. Their guitars are kind of unique, and I've always sort of, my gear background is like, I love guitars in that $500 to $1,000 range. Nice. And I think you can get some really good stuff, and Reverend makes the best stuff. The Corgan gets a little out of that range, but I found one used, so kept it in that.
That's kind of shocking that you found one used.
They're starting to pop up, because they've only been out for a year.
I've never seen the Corgan model. In Corgan plays Fender Strats, right?
Well, he had a signature Strat model a couple of years ago, and then now he's gone to the Reverends. I think Schroeder plays one too. I know you guys talked to him. He didn't really mention it.
He's got a lot of allegiances.
But anyway, I just playing a lot of gigs over the years. It's like walking around with a $4,000 Les Paul in some club, and then I got it's just there's too much to worry about, and stuff gets beat up. And I don't know. I love guitars in that range because I can get more of them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of and then you find them used and they're even cheaper, but they're great guitars. I mean, the pickups are insane.
Single coil, double coil.
They're mostly humbuckers, and then they've got their own P90 that they do. They do all.
They got the rail hammers too, right?
Yeah. So the Corgan has like
Corgan's a mix, right?
It's a mix between their rail hammer and their P90.
Yeah,
basically.
It's nice.
It's a sweet looking guitar, man. I was really stoked that you brought that out to that gig because. I was like, ooh, which Reverend is he going to play? Because you have like every.
I brought
model.
3 of them. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And he loves pedals too, so that's why I said, ooh, hey man, why don't you come down and hang out with us? So
the only problem with pedals is I don't have a very big pedal train board, so I can only get and I only have so many power inputs.
Yeah.
So I'm always swapping them out, but I probably just need to build a bigger board with two power things on it.
Yeah, well, those are getting cheap enough now. Craigslist, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Just make one for a home. So I'm thinking of actually doing one that's like, here's my home board that I can just put all kinds of stuff on, and then my smaller gig board.
Yeah.
Where I just go, I just need this stuff for the gig. You probably have a humongoid pedal board at home, right, Mike?
No, I actually don't. I think at max I probably have about maybe 8 pedals on my board. I just have your bare essentials.
More than me.
Yeah, I mean, well, I make it sound like, I mean, because dude, I see some of these guys, you know, on Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, like some of my customers and all that other stuff, where the board's like Pedal Train Pro.
Yeah.
And it's like I think I have the Metro 24 right now.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Oh, do you really? Yeah. So it's whatever I can squeeze on that.
Yeah.
And then I actually for this demo thing that I'm doing tomorrow, I kind of built up. I think it's a PT Junior. I think it is. Or PT1, one of the two. But it probably has about, I mean, I just got your essentials, your drives and delays and reverbs.
Yeah.
And a little wah there.
So, Keith, did it live up to your expectation for gigging?
The guitar,
Yeah.
it's you know, I got lucky. So one of the advantages of buying it used was I got it from like a mom and pop guitar shop where they spent a lot of time setting it up.
So free setup.
Came like the playability on this thing is awesome.
Yeah. So what is the sort of like, okay, take away that it says, you know, take the Billy Corgan off of it, take the aesthetic off of it.
I've never bought a signature guitar. Like I've never bought a signature model of anybody's before. And that was the first one that really interested me just because it was a brand that I already liked. And
so if you take all that off, what's the thing about that guitar that you love?
It's the same thing with all the Reverends, man. They're just so much fun to play, and just the way that they look and the way they sound is, I mean, they're incredible. I don't know. I can't say enough good things about them. And I have Les Pauls, I've got Strats, I've got Tellys, like American Fender stuff, and just I just get excited to play them.
Yeah.
The ones you have, what do they feel like? I mean, like, are they like Les Paul feel or like?
No, I mean, they're kind of
like
like their own thing. Like I have the double agent was one of the first ones I've got, and it's one of the ones I still play the most. It's what I liked about it is it had a humbucker in the bridge, and then it has a P90 in the neck.
Nice.
And but those are kind of like a hybrid of a Strat and a Telly.
Yeah.
If I had to compare it to something that most people would know. And they've done a few variations of the body style on that. So they have one that looks more almost like Jaguar-ish, with the single cut with the high top cutaway, whatever you call that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. They're made in, the guitars are made in Korea, but they're made really well.
Yeah.
And again, like I love playing them.
Cool. Well, we're going to have a sort of a Reverend-ish episode, like digging into like more about that brand. I think hearing more details about your collection, et cetera, et cetera. Mike.
Yeah.
What's going on in your guitar world?
Well, let's see. This week I just got my 67 twin reverb back. Yeah. I kind of went like a whole year without playing it because I was getting some popping noise and stuff, and I can like fix it myself, but I was kind of I just been stacked the whole last year, and I haven't had any time. And around last year, I got a 67 basement head. And that kind of still show like, oh, dude, I kind of fell in love with the amp. So I just kind of threw the twin reverb to the side for a little bit. Yeah. And because the thing's a beast to carry. But yeah, I just got that back today. Not today, but earlier this week. And it's man.
What kind of cabinet are you running?
So for cabinet, I got this. For the basement, I kind of played, it depended on the situation. I have the Torpedo cab sim. I have that, which is super nice. And on that, I usually just run the, just a Bassman cab on that one. It's like a 63 Bassman that I run on that. And, but as far as if I'm playing, like if I'm wanting to use a normal cab, I have this, my buddy gave me this Sun cab.
Oh,
and
like an old one?
Yeah, like an old one. Mm-hmm. But the thing was it didn't have any speakers or anything, and it was built for I think it was a 210. But I went and I put 212s in there. I fit 212s in there. Yeah, so I threw two Jensen 12s in there. Yeah. And so most of the time, if I'm wanting to use a normal speaker cab, I'll use that. It's just a Sun cab with two. Yeah. 12.
You know, that made me think it'd be interesting. We've talked on a couple episodes about speakers and stuff, and I'm in conversation with a couple different entities on to actually have a episode in which we talk in depth about the speakers. But it just made me think because the original Bassman's 410s,
Yeah.
the basement speaker cab,
Yeah.
like 410 speaker cab.
Yeah, it's like you have furniture.
Yeah, exactly. But it would be interesting to hear what like a 12 and a 10 in the same box. Like, ooh, what would that be like?
Oh yeah, that'd be kind of different. Well, like, so I like, I think it was 2 days ago. The guy that actually fixed my 67.
Yeah.
I ended up as a part of my like helping fix my twin. I ended up giving him he wanted to buy this cab off of me. I think it was a 65 basement cab. And it had 12. It was a 212 cab, and I had a set of Utahs in there, but I didn't really like the Utahs. They were just too much bass, I think, and kind of like
Too much bass for the basement.
yeah. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I mean, like with the cab and even with the twin reverb, I run the Jenkins, and they're just they're reissues. But I like them because they get enough bass in it, but then it also has enough clarity.
Yeah.
And the Utahs to me didn't sound, because I have two sets of I had a set of Utahs in that cab that I just sold, but then I also had some Utahs that came with the twin reverb when I bought it from the guy.
Yeah.
But it just, I don't know. They never had enough clarity to them.
Interesting.
Yeah, for me at least.
Oh, is the amp original? Or is it just reissued? Or is it just
who is it here that has all the Fender amps?
He's got a couple.
Yeah, somebody had the Princeton reverb.
Oh,
right?
That's not me. That's
He
Chris.
wasn't here.
Yeah, Chris.
Chris,
Yeah.
we miss you, buddy.
Yeah.
Chris is mastering a very important record right now.
Oh,
So.
yeah, because I was gonna talk some Fender with him because
He's missing out.
yeah, because I'm a big Fender nerd, and I actually have a '67 Princeton reverb.
Oh.
And which is it was a cool story behind that. I found I've actually my grandpa. Because I'm originally from Montana. Mm-hmm. And my grandpa's like, hey, he found out I did some electronic stuff, and he was like, hey, Mike, I have this guitar amp, it's just been sitting in my garage. My buddy gave it to me when he passed away, but I tried starting it, turning it on like a while ago. But he was like, it started smoking. So then I was like, oh, that's weird,
Whoa.
So I was like, bring it over, So he brings it over. Well, it was just in that era, right? Because it's a silver bass, but it was just in that era when they were, doing the crossover. And what I ended up doing was I was like, well, I'll bring it to Ohio, I'll fix it or whatever. So I fixed it, and he ended up giving it to me.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff. So now I have the 67 reverb, twin reverb, or not, Princeton reverb. Yeah. And
So it's original.
Yeah. So that one's
Nice.
that one's original. The speaker I think was swapped out back in the 80s. Something like that. But then the 67 twin reverb that I have, that's a blackface. And
Original?
yeah. So it's all original. The transformer though was swapped out with a silver paste, and so that kind of gave some weird issues like biasing, and that's kind of what this guy just ended up fixing.
It makes me laugh because
My dad said he had. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. One of my first nice amp, my first Fender amp was an '80s Princeton Chorus, and they were solid
Classic.
state, and it was like it was just like
Those are red knobs, right?
Yeah, it was like red and gray. It was
Yeah.
like it was kind of a garbage amp. It was like the amp that everybody had.
I had the twin version of that with the red knobs.
Is that the version that has like the clean channel and then the dirt channel?
Yes,
Yeah.
And then it has chorus.
yeah, the chorus. Yeah,
But it has a really
chorus
nice
is,
reverb
like,
though.
super
I like the
strong.
reverb on it.
Yeah,
thought
I mean,
pretty
it was
decent.
like my first after I got my beginner, gear.
Yeah.
It was like the first nice amp that I got.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
That's funny.
When I hear people talk about Princeton reverbs, it's like
Can't not think of
the
that.
quality was so much different. And then I think about the Princeton
Yeah.
chorus, and
Yeah.
I think they even made like a version that was like a gray, like fuzzy, like felt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're
It
right.
was like everything stuck to it, like
Yeah.
dog
Yeah.
hair, and it was all God. It was
didn't
terrible.
understand
Velcro.
So, Jared,
Oh yeah.
how about you? What's going on?
It was an unusual guitar. It was unusual for me. I'm going to start this out by saying I love records and playing vinyl. And when I'm in the shop, that's where I like to play them. But I don't like to handle them. So what I do is I record my records onto an old TIAC reel-to-reel player that I have. And I love the thing. So I've got tape filled up full of records. So I could just press play, and I even have a remote.
How much
and all
free
that.
time do you have that you're doing that?
You're listening to music?
No, that you're recording records to tape.
When I'm slow.
Oh, okay.
Which hasn't been often
Right.
lately.
So I've got a bunch of reels of tape that the guy that owned the thing before, he gave me all the tapes with it. He had recorded a bunch of old, records from the Vietnam era, because that's when he did it. But so anyway, I'm in Fremont, Ohio, fixing a guitar for a buddy, and I've known him for years. He's in my wedding, good friend of mine. And he says, "Man, I really have to have a reel-to-reel player for my new poker room. I really got to have it, and I want yours because I know yours works, and I don't want to deal with having it fixed because, blah da da. I don't have any sources or anything, and they do require a lot of maintenance, by the way. And if you don't have one, or if you do have one, you don't know how to use it. You've got to know how to use one." So I said, he just worked on me, and I finally broke down. I said, all right, I'll sell it. But I got to have that Bassman 50 sitting in your used, because he has a guitar shop, sitting in your used room over there. It's an early 70s Fender Bassman 50.
With the original cab.
Original cab. There's no holes. There's no...
And it's not all yellowed.
It's
a little bit yellow.
It
doesn't look like someone had peed on it.
It's dirty where the baffle is cut out for the 212 speakers. So it's a 212er. It's a 50 watt. It sounds really good. I like it.
We played it yesterday.
Yeah, and he said him and his buddy recapped it and they retubed it, so I don't have to do all that garbage. Yeah. But I'm thinking about.
I think you oughta. It's got some cobwebs.
That was just with the pedal.
Sure.
That was just with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I was thinking about having it black faced.
Why? No, don't mess it. Don't.
Why?
No.
It's an early 70s.
Dude, just keep it.
Yeah,
keep it the way it is.
Dude, keep it classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not blackface it?
Because
Don't do that.
Yeah.
What do you think? Would you blackface it if it was yours?
I would
Keith.
probably default on keeping it as original as possible.
Just not.
Really?
Don't touch. Do not.
I don't care though.
You put speedboat paint on classic guitars. Don't make this black.
What if you use that cool Fender felt stuff from the 80s? Maybe that.
Snakeskin.
You got a good point.
Yeah.
All right,
Cool.
I'll keep it original. You guys
Just keep
convinced
it-
me.
yeah, just keep it
You
original.
convinced me to keep it original.
Keep
I
it
will.
original.
Keep it original.
So I don't like trading stuff. I don't like doing it.
is there
I love
anything
my
wrong
own
with
stuff.
it? Like,
The
like how
only
it
thing
sounds?
wrong with it, I think maybe wrong with it, and I'm not a Fender geek, but I like Fender,
Okay.
is, the deep switch on the
Yeah.
left through the bass channels?
Yeah.
When you switch it to deep, it doesn't sound as boomy and bassy as it does.
dude, you just got to keep that switch on one setting and just keep it like that. That's what I do.
Forever?
That's what I do.
Am I right though?
Yeah.
Is that the way it should be?
Yeah,
the
there's-
deep is
it
actually
really
not bassy.
It kind of has some extremes. Like, does it sound like it has extremes? It's either just really in there or it's really not in there. Like,
No, it's more of a subtle. You laugh at the way I talk. I like it. I like it how it is. I don't know.
sounds like there's nothing wrong with it.
There
Like
isn't.
you're just trying to venture into something else.
Yeah. Don't.
I don't need to do
Mess with
that.
it.
I need to play through it the way it is.
Yeah.
And so
through
far
that
I'm happy.
cabinet.
Like I'm happy with the way it is now.
He actually A-B'd it. Actually, we went ABY, but he's running that amp with that cab, and then also he has orange stereo, like two orange.
You have two orange heads,
floor slant cabs, and two orange heads. So it was in stereo and the Bassman right in. That
gosh.
sounded pretty damn good. I'm not gonna
That's
lie.
intense.
Yeah.
It's nice to just leave my equipment where it is.
Yeah, he's got a pretty nice setup.
Yeah.
Okay, man, we're gonna get this moving. So what I did this week? What?
No, I'm pointing to you because I want to know what you did this week.
I'm reaching down to get something. That's not any kind of a euphemism.
Whoa.
So, Jared was fixing my Sheraton 2 with some new pickups, and he lent me a guitar that I fell in love with, so I had to go get one myself. What's up?
You did it, man.
I did. So I found he loaned me a Gibson Les Paul Special double cutaway with the mini trap inlays.
Nice.
And his is Pelham Sparkle, and it's beautiful. He repainted it.
Okay.
And so I was like, God, I gotta have one of these. And I actually found I wanted a black one or a white one, but they didn't come in white, I don't think. And so I wanted a black one. So I found it, and then so I'd always envisioned this guitar with a plexi pick guard painted gold on back.
Yeah.
So Tony at the Pick Guardian, local fella, hooked me up, and we're gonna have him on the show actually in April, I think.
Oh yeah.
So he did a killer job on that, and
This has
I
the
am
neck.
totally in love with it. The only thing I gotta fix is I gotta get some of Jared's pickups in here. His P90s are bueno.
Thing looks amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the right neck feeling and everything. This thing is
I
really light.
was so excited to get that. I couldn't even stand it.
That is nice.
But I had to sell my AC-15, and I have another guitar that it's up for sale to justify it, so that I didn't get thrown out of my house.
Yeah.
What I do in that
pretty good.
case is
Yeah.
I keep all my stuff in the basement. My wife
oh,
never
yeah,
goes
so she
down
doesn't know
there,
what
so
it
she
works.
has no idea what I
I'm
have.
doing it
That's how
wrong.
mine works.
Cool. Well,
She gave up trying to
we
keep
can
track of
let
yourself.
the apprentice noodle around with that while we're
Yeah, if
sitting
you want
there.
to jam on that place.
Yeah,
some
once you get
background
over
music.
like a dozen guitars or so, the wife can't keep track anymore.
Yeah,
so
I know. Well, she actually did. She came in. I'm not even joking. So mine are hanging like on what's the?
They're like retail.
board. Like
Yeah.
retail
Oh, yeah.
panel board, right?
Yeah.
That's how I have them hung in my room. And she came in and I was just talking to her, and she looked at the wall, and she started going 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wait, how
She's
many
counting.
guitars do you have?
I mean, I don't have like 60 or anything. Jared's got way more than me. I think I'm about 10.
What? 10?
He's got like 30.
I don't know how many. I
And
have.
you've got 20.
I got about
2.
16 or
Oh my
16.
gosh.
Yeah.
Why don't you guys open a guitar shop?
It's pretty.
I'm gonna need to.
It's a disease.
No,
Yeah.
they're all mine. All mine.
So, anyways, all right, let's get to our new segment, newish segment. We've done one, and it was super exciting. So, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the floor. Okay, Mike.
Yes.
Your 4 on the floor. What are they?
Yes. Okay. So I'm just kind of going with guitar pedals that have stood the times.
Yes. Oh, and I should note
yes.
that we said they can't be his pedals.
Yep. All right. So first on the list, WH10 wah, the V1. I just love a wah. I really do. And I kind of use it not like, like porn music.
Do you find a position that you like and keep it
So
there?
there's like 2 different ways I use it. One, I kind of like if I have some like really intense reverb on with some delay, I kind of do this kind of a swelling thing, or not a swelling thing, kind of sweep. I kind of sweep it, and just sweep it depending on, I just kind of feel it out. And then the second way I use it is I kind of set it to like kind of like a, cocked at a certain position to where it kind of sounds nasally. And so it kind of, you almost get like this octavey kind of sound.
Yeah, like an out of phase sound.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
really nasally sound.
And when you say sweep, do you mean kind of like
slowly kind of
like
rock
a
it?
no quarter song? Led Zeppelin no quarter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of sweep it like that, and then your classic wah, like kind of a Jimi Hendrix style. I still do that kind of sweep it.
Keith, you use the wah?
It's funny. I had like the Dunlop Jimi Hendrix model.
Oh, yeah.
That's when I started playing like that. I had to have one. I had that and Roto Vibe, which the
Yep.
steel pedals, but they're all. I probably need to have one of you guys look at them because they're so noisy now. Like they probably don't know. They probably just need to be cleaned. But I don't really.
It is
You know
amazing what a
don't know
good
how-
cleaning on a wall
Yeah,
will
like,
do.
I can't-
I tried. I have an old Dunlop myself, and I took that thing all apart. I said, I am not going to get the because you get that without playing when you.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty much what it sounds like.
Right.
And they're just like lead contacts, and they continually cause this dark,
Yeah.
leady,
You
whatever
should-
dirt
let me
stuff.
Bring it in. Let me look at it.
Oh, all right, I
Can
will.
you clean those or like because
I tried it. I
it
couldn't
didn't work?
No, I think
Yeah.
Todd probably knows more than I do about it. I'll bring it in next
I mean,
time.
there's
You know
a
what
lot
to
of
do.
different things you can do.
Right.
I mean, Mike, you want to jump in here?
Well, I mean, so
Sorry,
so
man.
that's that's my that was my but so right now I have the WH10 and I switched. I actually have two of them. One I got off of eBay, like I scored that, and like I found it in Germany, and like I had to pay a stupid amount of money for it, just because I couldn't come across it on Reverb, all these other sites. But then all of a sudden then a second one popped up on eBay, and I bought it for $100. And so I was like, oh, sweet. So now I have two, but I don't know if you guys ever heard about them, but they're like made out of plastic. Okay. So
No.
yeah, so
Really?
the enclosure is plastic. So you're rocking this thing like crazy, and it's plastic. And so like I've never had it break, and I've kind of used it I use it a lot, but just recently I switched to kind of save some pedal board space, because I was telling you I went to the Metro 24. I bought the Dunlop Mini Crybaby wah, and I had beef against Crybabies
Yeah.
because they're so trebly and
Yeah.
just like what you guys are saying, noisy.
Yeah.
But this thing inside of it actually has a filter switch, which you can do like low and then like a mid sweep, and then
Yeah.
like your classic baby, like,
Yeah.
trebly sound.
Yeah.
But I keep it on the low, which kind of is almost close to the WH10.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I was laughing because I had the same board, and I was like, cool, put my board on. Bonk.
Wahs are always so hard to put on a board.
Yeah,
They
and it's
take
like
up so
almost-
much
Yeah,
space.
I cut mine up to fit it
But
on
this is
there.
what's sweet about the WH10 is it's actually like it fits on the Metro 24.
Metro,
Yeah, it fits perfectly. It's like I think it's the same dimensions, and
Yeah.
so it fits on there like a Tetris.
Oh, that's cool.
And unlike the Crybabies, they're a little bit like bigger. I think maybe a couple inches bigger.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Speaking of wahs, Todd, did you see who came out with his own signature wah with Dunlop?
No. When?
Mr. Billy Duffy of the Cult.
Did he really?
And it's like white. It looks
Ooh, that's cool.
badass. Like I actually was like, I want to get a wah again just because I want that pedal.
Well,
it looks,
yeah,
it
and
looks so
we share.
cool.
We share. Billy Duffy is a. We each have a shrine to Billy Duffy in our.
Oh, do you guys really?
That's how I learned how to play guitar, listening to Billy Duffy. I mean,
okay.
and I believe that's
They're just one of my favorite bands of all time.
We're going
That's
up to
awesome.
see him in Akron.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice, man. Yeah, Akron's forever far away from me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it is.
So now that we're still in the wah subject,
Yes.
I've got a Morley as well, and that's got
Okay.
one of those optical things, so you don't
A
get
new
to.
one or an old one?
It's a newer one.
Okay.
It's maybe 5, 6, 7 years
Okay.
old. That's new to me.
Yeah.
And it's got the what is that? Optical
Ernie
eye
Ball
or
has that
something?
too.
It's the optical. I don't even know what it is.
Whatever.
I've
So it's not to
I never really got into it.
stuff,
Yeah.
it's clean. It's
Yeah.
as far now, can you tell a big tonal difference between the old school and then the clean optical?
Not all of them do that.
I mean, mechanically, there's a difference. The
There's a huge
optical,
difference.
Mechanically, there's a difference, but
Mechanical-
tone-wise, though.
Tone-wise, I think almost like anything you do electronically, you can almost fine tune it to match something else. So I guess it just depends. But I do notice a difference between the Morley and the Crybaby.
Oh, yeah.
There's a tonal difference.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what Morley was going for. And you know what I'm saying?
My very first pedal that I ever bought
Yeah.
was a Morley about the size of a shoebox.
Yes.
It was enormous, and then I didn't know what I was doing.
Is there an amp
the
built in?
craziest gear, and I'd show up to a gig and be like, womp, right? Truth be told, I really didn't even need it, and I hardly even used it. But it was like, I've got a pedal,
See, guys, I collect pedals.
Yeah, this was. I mean, this was a long time ago, but yeah, that was ridiculous.
They,
that was ridiculous.
have you guys ever seen I think it's the Ibanez Devil something? It's like, I don't know, it's the Devil Wah or something. I forgot what it is. You know what I'm talking about?
I didn't know
I
the
mean,
Ibanez
this
did a wah.
thing
I didn't know
literally
that
looks like this thing looks like it's like an electric chair. That's what it reminds me of. It looks
Really?
like a torture device. Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh.
Yeah, it's ridiculously big. Demon Cry or something. I don't know. Something. Yeah, I don't know.
There's some wild pedals out there.
Yeah.
Just when you're talking about the wahs and all that kind of stuff. All right, give me number 3.
Okay. What was number 2?
No, number 2. Give
Actually,
me number 2.
Yeah. So number 2, I would have to do my Sovereign Distortion. Oh man, I love that pedal. Like, I think that's really underrated. It's a Wampler Sovereign Distortion. I think that's a really underrated pedal.
What's the signature thing you love about it?
Oh, dude, I can literally use it with anything.
Okay.
I mainly use it for that Marshall-y kind of sound. When I want like a high gain sound.
Yeah.
But the thing that really kind of separates it from other guitar pedals is that you can actually turn the volume. Yeah, what is that? What is it?
The Weeping Demon.
The Weeping Demon.
Ibanez Weeping Demon. It does look like a torture device.
Yeah, doesn't that look like it? Yeah, it looks like it looks like somebody could die on that thing. And so that Sovereign Distortion, though, what I love about it is you can actually just turn the volume down, and depending on what your volume setting is at, you can get like a wide range of tonal options. It's called the Sovereign. I think it's the Sovereign Distortion, but it goes from distortion to overdrive to just a boost.
Wow.
And I love it because the places that I play, I'm having to play like a wide range of music. Like you go from like a really intense rock song, rockier kind of song, to like an old school kind of gospel-y sound. So I'm having to go from like within like one song I'll be rocking out, and then the next song I'll be having to do something really kind of bluesier, kind of more Fendery sounding. And the Sovereign just allows me just to roll my volume down.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I love
Nice.
that. Yeah, and
There's not a better feeling than to have a pedal that
I can think of a few, but I don't know.
like I told you guys, all the amps I play through are Fenders, and so my whole tonal theology, I guess, as far as my board setup is have a really nice clean amp, just keep it clean, and then let the pedals do the dirty work.
Yeah, man.
That's the way I do it.
We were just talking about that.
That's my thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because some of these guys, because I've thought about, well, maybe I'll just get like a Marshall and keep that high gain, and then I'll have I can just switch, like depending on if I need overdrive, use the high gain from that.
Yeah.
But the Wampler Sovereign Distortion was kind of my last effort at like trying because I've tried some of the brown sound in a box pedals or whatever, but none of them could clean up. They all just sounded really gainy.
Yeah.
But this is one that really kind of reached the extremes. And
sorry. Oasis is calling me. I better turn that off before I have to pay rights. Nikki, I'm in a podcast. Sorry. Can I call you back? Okay, bye.
Bye.
She works for me, so I was like,
okay.
crap. Is there something I gotta... I'll just
calling
turn
to,
that off.
She calling to tender her resignation.
She might be.
it's like, I quit.
My boss is never there for me.
Okay, I'll have to erase all that stuff. So...
Editing.
Yeah. That was an edit because I got a phone call unannounced, which most phone calls are, I suppose. Anyways, okay.
Yeah, what's up?
Number 3? What's up?
Trace,
Number 3.
So number 3 would have to be my wet reverb. It's the Nunabeyer. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I'm sorry, Brian.
Yeah, well,
yeah. But
we'll let you butcher that.
Yeah,
I'm not going to try to save you.
None of these guys are even helping me out. Yeah,
I don't even know what that is. Yeah.
Oh man, it's sweet.
You got wet dry. So explain the difference.
So the Nunabeyer wet reverb is
I believe it's Nunabeyer.
Is it Nunabeyer? Okay.
Nuno Betancourt.
I'm just saying whatever
he butchered it now.
What does Nuno Betancourt have to do with this?
I don't even know.
So so what's sweet about this thing is, so I don't know if you guys, I mean, we'll get into my pedals later, but like simplicity
Oh yeah, that comes through clear.
really far.
Yeah.
So with these guys, they came out with this reverb that actually has, this is I think it was their first reverb they come out with, but it's the wet reverb, and it just has a mix and depth, like 2 knobs. That's all it has. It don't have pre-delay, diffusion, low pass, high pass filter, like crazy settings, that on a lot
I get anxiety if I get too many.
that is my issue. And you guys are live musicians too, so you know the struggle of having to go from one song to another. You don't have that time.
We just got through talking about this, Keith. Your pedal, the which one was it? The big white one.
The Palisades.
Palisades. Yeah, he was talking about the great pedal, but
It's bad boy right here.
It's a lot of. I was actually talking about this with Jared earlier, in just terms of, I picked up a separate clean boost pedal.
Yep.
Because a lot of the stuff I was doing, it's just like a step above clean. It's just like a little bit dirt. You need a little bit of like strength behind it.
Yep.
And it's like I've got my overdrive's giving me overdrive, distortion, and then I'm using the boost for leads.
Yeah.
But it's like I still didn't have that in between kind of clean, dirty tone that I wanted, so I threw a clean boost in front of it.
It's really weird. There's like or
behind it, I should say.
The argument for or against boost is second only to wood tones, or tone woods, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, does wood have anything to do with your signal?
Am I missing out on something?
No, it's got to be something. It's like, but I mean, if you look at discussion boards and stuff, people get really worked up about boost
the
and no
pain.
boost.
Oh, yeah.
I like using a boost
yeah.
myself, but some people are just like, "That's what your volume's for, dummy." Like, what?
Are you going to walk over to your amp during a show and turn that volume button?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
To Mike's point earlier, it's like if we all had
boost.
roadies and could take 4 amps to a gig with us, and they set them up for you, then I wouldn't need as many pedals as I have. But unfortunately, that's not the reality most of us live in when we play out. So having good pedals that do different things, and especially when you're playing a lot of different types of music in the same night,
Yeah, and that's my whole thing behind this wet reverb, is like, we were having this, me and my apprentice, Luke, we were having this discussion in the car, because I was telling him.
Are you going to feed him, throw him a mackerel or something? I don't know. Give him a Cheez-It.
I know. I think he's like.
we should make Luke do like push-ups or something.
I think his blood sugar's getting really low because he's like falling asleep. But anyways, we were having this discussion, because I was telling him, dude, like, I have some things that I'm working on, right now. And one of the things that I, have an issue with is going from one song where I'm like subtle reverb, just enough to back me up. And then all of a sudden I go into this really wet,
melodic.
Like just a lot of space. Like I go from like a room to a cathedral, And, being a live musician, you only have 2 seconds in between till you start the next song. And if you're playing an open riff,
you can't have a lot of dead space, man.
Yeah, you can't have a lot of dead space. And if you have like a pedal that has like 900 banks, you don't have the time to go and then go to bank A, number 45, You don't have that time. And so so what I love about this pedal is I can literally, I have 2 main settings that I go to, and one setting is my, just backup reverb, just enough to kind of space my guitar out a little bit.
Yeah.
And then the second one's kind of my kind of spacious reverb, to kind of give me a more, like you were saying, melodic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's what I love about that one.
All right. Last one.
Gosh, the last one, this one was kind of trouble. I didn't really know, but just kind of any Tube Screamers kind of pedal. I know I heard you guys talking about Tube Screamer pedals and your whole but
I lived on a Tube Screamer for the longest.
I ended up buying one.
yeah. I heard you got the deal.
That was
You gotta have
my
one,
bread
I
and butter
think.
was that thing.
The Tube Screamer.
Well, I mean, I think it kind of comes from your background, like what you're kind of shooting for. Like my background, I kind of got stuck on the whole Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the whole Stevie Ray Vaughan, John Mayer kind of thing like that. And so that's kind of like, you know, I mean, I don't know if you guys do this, but you kind of stretch out into different genres of music.
Sure.
Like, you know, you kind of venture off like thinking, oh, this is me, you know, and then all of a sudden, like when you go back to your house or something, you kind of like your home, like what do you come back to play with? Mm-hmm. And to me, it's the blues.
Yeah.
You know, so I play all kinds of stuff, but then I find myself coming right back to blues.
Yeah.
And so some kind of tube screamer style of pedal, that's kind of, that'd be my selection.
Cool.
And stuff. Yeah.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
Well, so that was our 4 on the floor. Thank you for doing that. I'm really excited about how so far it's gone for 2 episodes. I think it's cool features that it's like your DNA of who you are as a musician to a certain degree. You know?
It really is.
All right. So we have you here because you're making some sweet pedals.
I do.
And a bonus is that you're also an Ohioan, which is really cool. And
Yeah, right.
I'm not purposely much trying to highlight people who live in Ohio who are contributing to the guitar industry, but there's a lot of us around, so it makes it real easy. So you were kind enough to come up to our studio, and I am appreciative of that. Thank you. You also were super cool and sent us 3 pedals, one of which is just about to actually break. So we kind of had like the debut. Are we actually debuting this right now?
It's kind of like a sneaky peek because
Yeah.
I've actually kept this under wraps. I've posted
Like a soft launch.
It is a soft
launch. Well,
I wanted to say soft launch on
Yes.
here.
that's kind of my problem is I don't know how to release stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so like, and this is something, I don't know. I'm not I don't know. It's kind of going. Just playing it by ear.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of, you guys were kind of one of the first few that actually got to play it.
Yeah. I was
Me
excited
likey.
about that.
You like it? Yeah.
I like it.
Oh, dude, it's
So
beautiful.
I found you as like I'm finding just about everybody.
Yeah.
I contacted you on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I think you had some pretty interesting stuff on there. I think you know your Instagram game is strong, and you know I think I try to find unique takes on things.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's, you know, sort of like wine labeled style. Like this wine looks like it tastes good based on what I'm looking at, which is completely mental. It could be crap wine in there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. I know what you're saying.
But yeah, I thought, oh, you put a lot of thought into sort of like, all right, if I'm going to do this, what does my approach look like in its entirety? And you know, I think that was a smart way to go. I mean, they grabbed our attention. So you're here with us to talk about your pedals, but we also want to know like how. So you talked a little bit about how you got started a little bit, but can you hit us with that first? And then I want to find out where you made that leap into making pedals. And I know that Keith has a lot of questions for you, and so does Jared. So you guys just pepper him in as we interrupt the crap out of him. Let's do it.
And interrupt me if it gets too boring. So I started guitar. What was it?
Anyways, I was thinking that no.
So snooze. Yeah. Well, I was kind of a late bloomer as far as guitar goes. Like I started end of high school, towards the end of high school, and then just you kind of go through the whole process of finding yourself in the music, and so you just go through playing different stuff and I got to the point where I was like, hey, I kind of want to learn exactly how these guys are coming up with this music. So I took lessons or whatever. Well, then that kind of birthed into me stretching out and playing more intense instrument or, amps and stuff, stretching out into bigger kind of instruments stuff.
What was the very first guitar you owned?
So the very first guitar I owned was a Fender, what do they call it? Starcaster?
No kidding, with the wide range?
I think
Like the
my
big
parents
pickups?
My parents bought it.
Semi-hollow body?
So my parents bought it for me from they bought it from Sam's Club.
Sam Ash or Sam's
No,
Club?
Sam's Club. No,
Oh.
Sam Ash. Sam's Club. I don't know what it was. It was a Squire or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just like a.
That's not really a bad beginner guitar at all.
I mean, but I never played it. I never played it until like I got a Les Paul. That was my first one that I actually ventured off into the music. But anyways, I've just kind of been like back when I was younger, I've just been kind of like a nerd.
Who are your influences?
My guitar influences.
Yeah.
So my top two favorite guitarists are John Frusciante, of the Chili Peppers.
That's a good one to have.
Yes, and number two is Stevie Ray Vaughan. I kind of explain John Frusciante as my more melodic approach to guitar, and then Stevie Ray Vaughan's more technical.
Yeah.
If that's even technical, but I just love the playing. Yeah.
Cool.
And but anyways, I was back when I was a kid, I'd take apart electronics. I was always the one that's taking remotes apart and then trying to put them back together, Yeah, exactly. And I remember one of the first projects I've ever done was I had a remote control car, and I took that thing apart. And then, the little DC motor in it.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, exactly. And I made a fan out of it.
Wow.
And I just thought it was the coolest thing. And I didn't know anything about voltages and current. And so, I was like, I got to get this fan faster. So I put more batteries on it and stuff like that.
I did that, and I attached it to a pen.
Oh,
so
okay.
I had a little fan with a little motor. I attached it to a pen, and I had it at school.
Yeah.
And then I impressed one teacher out of 4 of them.
I thought it was sweet. Yeah. So you kind of know where I'm coming from.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so I've always had that itch for just figuring out things. And
It's a lot of fun.
and it's a lot of fun. Well, I actually didn't start doing Red House till I think two years ago. And even then I was just doing it in my basement. But I actually, I have a bachelor's of science, whatever, in electrical engineering.
Wow.
So I'm my full-time job, I'm an electrical engineer. And I'm doing my master's right now too.
No kidding.
Yeah, for engineering. So I actually have that science background, and I have the minor in computer science.
So making
too,
these is gravy for you.
Oh, dude, I love it. You tell coworkers and stuff about it, and they have no idea though. So it's kind of it's weird. Engineering's so widespread.
Yeah.
And so I try explaining electronics of some of these, and they're like, "Oh, I remember learning some of that in class," Yeah. But yeah, so Red House kind of spawned out of my passion for engineering, and also over my love of science, and pretty much passion of music. Yeah, so it's just both of these blended.
Perfect.
And so I thought it was perfect. I was like, well, I'm a musician, and I kind of know what I have that ear.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have that ear that you know what a musician's looking for, but then at the same time too, I know how to design it, and so I know how to design it. So I just decided to mix the two, and that's kind of how Red House spawned.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
You're talking about understanding electronics and stuff. I just want to throw out really quick, and I'll also put this on the Facebook group, which if anyone is listening and they aren't on it, they should be on it. But that can be an absolute total mystery and borderline debilitating thing if you are interested in trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
It's like the idea of like, I have a motorcycle, but I can't fix it. That's kind of crazy. It's like, so I had that approach. I actually went, I remember going on YouTube, and there's a guy named Big Clive, and he's bigger than Jared, and he's got bright red hair, and he's Scottish, and he has the most gentle, inviting voice, kind of like, this is gonna sound terrible. No, I'm not even gonna say it. Well, I have to. No, but in a recent Disney movie, there was a shopkeeper when someone would come in the shop, he'd go, woohoo, But he's like this big giant guy, and he does like a over the head cam, like a hat cam, and he teaches you how to understand electronics. He has one where he draws out and he's like, this is a resistor, and what you do is you put this stops it from going straight through. It's like. And
then he says, if it's not Scottish, it's crap.
Yeah. And he is, I was just totally glued, and I was like, I just learned all about electronics, and he made it fun.
That's awesome.
And
it's really hard to do.
Yeah. So if you want a really, really easy toe dip into the pool of electronics, check out Big Clive on YouTube.
Big Clive
is great to watch. The guy takes everything apart.
Yeah.
Everything.
Okay.
It's nuts.
And just
Anyways,
walks through, is it?
Continue.
Yeah.
So you got your electronics. So you're like, I'm gonna build my pedals.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, do you want me to walk through the history? Like,
I think maybe the elephant in the room that Keith and I were talking about. Certainly, not you, Jared. Sorry. It's the elephant in the room. Hey, no, you're a big lovable guy. He was an MP for a while. But how scared would you be if you were the drunk little private at the bar and this guy came for you? Holy moly.
Sorry, sir. We were just looking for the bingo parlor. Directions got fouled up. One thing led to another.
Two guys were fighting in a lunch line, and I walked up. I cut in line because I was on duty, and they immediately stopped. And I said, listen, man, I'm just here to eat. You guys can go ahead and work it out.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Nice.
Just give me my food.
So it's something that I always want to know is like the pedal world is massive now.
Oh yeah.
It's the boutique pedal world is massive,
huge.
Specifically. And knowing that you had the technical capability.
Yes.
And you had an idea as a musician what you wanted.
Yeah.
What was your approach to create something that maybe was it that it hadn't been done? It hadn't been done your way. Like, how are you going to find how you fit in the huge landscape of pedals?
Okay. One, I just kind of wanted the pedals to be me. And that's not, I mean, I'm not trying to be selfish or anything, but I had this idea of what I wanted, and the main thing, we mentioned this before, was simplicity. And all these, these pedals that we got here, these are pretty much, they kind of, I don't know, they're birthed out of my troubles of, I guess, what I've experienced live.
Okay.
And, as I said, switching between songs, going from one extreme to the other, you have a limited amount of time. Mm-hmm. And, and for me, like, I hate having banks of 100 settings, I'd rather have 100 pedals than 100 settings in one pedal.
I don't think anybody in this room would argue with that.
Yeah. I'm more of a visual person. And I'd rather just have them set out in front of me. Even if I have to fiddle some knobs, I'd rather do that than switch through banks and settings.
Jared likes fiddling with knobs.
Oh.
I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding.
I like fiddles. I fiddle on fiddles.
I think it's still recovering from the elephant in the room joke.
I love Jared. That's why.
And then he tries covering it up with the MP story.
If you can't fiddle it with it, then it's not worth having.
Yeah,
you got to be able to fiddle with it.
True. And so anyways, it was just I was like, I want to make something simple. And so that's kind of where, that's one of the drives behind one of my pedals, or I guess the theme. Mm-hmm. And then the second thing is, like you said, the market's so oversaturated. There's so many different flavors, different things. And one of my first, I came out with the Mint drive, and which is a, it's an overdrive. It's like a light to medium gain overdrive. That's kind of how I describe it. Mm-hmm. But then one of the things was, it was I was like, all right, this is cool. I got an overdrive, but I got to do something that kind of separates me. And so I try to strive to kind of step out of the boundaries a little bit, but still stay in the bounds of not being complex. And the heat wave was kind of my step towards doing something that hasn't really been done normally. And I don't know if you know anything about the heat. I mean, you guys played around with it and stuff like that.
So for reference, Keith, you want to explain what we got here?
Yeah.
The heat wave optical tremolo. Well, I was gonna let Mike explain it because.
Well, you don't have to go into a full explanation, but just like what are the pedals that we have in here?
Oh, so we've got the heat wave, optical tremolo, and then the mint drive, which I wanted to ask you because you started talking about tube screamers earlier, and I lived on a tube screamer for a long time, and that's kind of like it felt like a really nice version of it because I don't have the cool modded out, Keeley modded tube screamer. I just bought the one off,
Sure.
Guitar Center.
That's what I got out of it too.
But that's what it felt like to me was like
when the gain was lower.
Oh, when the gain was lower?
Yeah.
Is that where you? I mean,
not with that mint drive.
That's not what you were going for?
Not even with the mint drive.
Weird.
With the mint drive.
Well, I'd say you missed the mark then. Wouldn't it?
I guess I missed the mark. The mint drive, honestly, to me, the mint drive's kind of more of like the indie pedal. A lot of the local musicians in the Dayton area, play my pedals. And the ones that I see that really pick it up are the ones that are playing more of your indie kind of rock music.
Yeah, that's what I used my tube screamer for all those years. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you just get that kind of dry, like you said, the dirt.
Yeah, it feels like a tight drive.
Yeah, I love this. I love the mint drive on some P90s. That sounded really good because it wasn't too bright, it wasn't too low. It just had enough. I thought it had a lot of control in it.
Yeah.
But the mint drive, changes its character on whatever guitar it's playing.
Yeah. Oh, and it also changes dramatically. So I had them chained from the one that you're going to announce, and then the mint.
Yeah.
And then I keep wanting to call the day. There's a cactus on it, so I keep wanting to say it's Sonora, but it isn't.
Sonora?
Didn't somebody call it Desert Heat before?
The Desert Heat, the heat wave.
Yeah.
So I had them stacked that way, and I started playing around with them. And if you, depending on how you have those chained, man, it really changes the sound.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But it's true of just about anything, but specifically I thought, whoa, this is a really big difference that I found.
Yeah.
So you have you got the mint, you found success with the mint.
Yeah. And then, so my kind of trying to step away, kind of trying to make a name for myself, or, at least trying to mainly at least do something with my education. And,
you gotta pay it off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so I wanted to kind of, because I actually have my minor in computer science too. And so,
jeez, dude.
Yeah. And so,
smart dude over here.
Yeah. So I just kind of wanted to, do something with that. And so I kind of went and I researched and, did a bunch of stuff. And, there's, I have all these actually have a chip that control either, a relay or do something, but the heat wave itself is an analog, as far as the signal path is analog, but what's controlling, pretty much the waveforms and stuff is a digital, processor.
Interesting.
And, or microcontroller. And, so anyways, I went and, I worked on the code for that for a while. Cause I wanted to try, cause I don't know if you try, cause the Fender amps have tremolo on them, and I've done some songs live, where I required, I needed a tremolo, but trying to match that tremolo with the track and trying to match it with your drummer, it's, a tremolo is a hard thing to do with a drummer. Because they start hearing the pulsating that's might not be on beat, and then they start kind of almost moving with that beat if they're not playing with a click or something.
Right.
And so I wanted something to be able to tap in a beat, and so that was my strive behind getting a tap on a tremolo.
Tap tempo tremolo.
That was my
Yeah.
favorite thing about that pedal because I tremolo is like one of my four on the floor. Like I always have trem as part of my rig.
Yeah.
But having one that had a tap tempo on it.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
And
Yeah.
and I thought it'd be sweet to have the tap, but I don't want to have to break my ankle trying to tap in a beat.
Yes.
So on here is it's the divide, which you can actually get shorter amount or faster amount of taps in it. Which it has the quarter, eighth, dotted eighth, and the 16th.
Yeah.
And so you can actually get
You have to fiddle around with that pedal a little bit to get it, or
yeah.
just read the directions that come with the box.
Just read the directions that come with the box. Once you read the directions, and I always tell the people when I'm explaining it, I was like, it looks scary, but it's really it's easy. It's enough that you can manipulate all that stuff really quick before you start your next song.
Well, and you mentioned breaking your ankle, and I was like, one thing I really loved about these is it's got the
soft touch.
Yeah.
Oh man, that soft touch.
The soft touch.
It's very soft. And so all right, cool.
And let's explain that,
Yes.
just because like soft touch is weird. It's a bit of a misnomer if you're trying to explain that to somebody, because that could mean there are pedals that have rubber coated ones, or they're you could say that like the Boss pedal could be a soft touch. But it's not the standard like, here's my aluminum box with the click, the straight up DP click.
There's no click, like hard click.
Yeah.
So if you get on this and you're stepping on it and you're like, where isn't it clicking?
Yeah.
It looks like a click. It's not a click. It's a soft touch.
So mechanically, for the people that are listening, I mean, you know it when you play it, the difference. But mechanically, your normal switch that a lot of the boutique users use is it's a latching switch. Mm-hmm. So having to make that drastic latch or switching the signal, it's just pretty much a bunch of poles that switch to the other side. Well, that kind of to be able to mechanically do that is kind of stressful. Mm-hmm. So that's why you get the click. Well, with the soft touch it's a momentary switch, so you get just 2 points that touch, and then they go back to the original spot. And so user wise, it has a soft touch to it.
I think we lost your minion, by the way. He just passed out. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is your favorite pedal?
Wait, he hasn't, but he can't.
He loves
He's just about to right now.
Can't you guys tell by the skinny jeans that like the mint drive should be his like favorite?
He's got a mint drive sticker on it.
Oh yeah, mint
So
drive,
why don't you use this opportunity to tell us you're going to debut this pedal right now?
Yes, I will. Okay.
Do it.
Do it. Okay. All right. So, all right. So right here, I have the Eagle Feather. This has kind of been my, I guess, a pedal that I really been itching to get out. This is a pedal that I've been really itching to get out, and it's, like I told you guys, I kind of had that, I have that background in blues.
Yeah.
This, so I think I'm going to throw this up on my site too, is, I have an initial description of my pedals. Mm-hmm. And like I told you, I like keeping everything simple. So when you go onto my website, the mint drive says low gain overdrive. That's literally what it says. It's right to the point. I'm not trying to spice up everything.
Right.
But I think, anyways, I think I'm gonna throw a backstory to each of these pedals, and
that'd be helpful.
Yeah, that'd be a little bit, helpful.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, and so one of the backstories behind the Eagle Feather was, like I told you guys.
Wait, did you just now announce the name? You just said what it's called?
Yeah,
just now.
There it is.
What's it called?
Yeah, earlier. This pedal is called the Eagle Feather.
Okay.
And I'll
boom,
the Eagle Feather, and I'll kind of give you guys background of how I came up with that.
Sure.
So, anyways.
I bet I know.
What is it? Yep.
I'm making a motion that he's going to explain.
Yeah. And so, all right. So I'll describe the Eagle Feather at first. All right. So all my pedals, they somehow just turned into nature. Like they have this nature feel to it.
Well, you're from Montana.
Yeah, exactly. Well, then it wasn't until after I came out with a heat wave that I was like, well, it was even before the heat wave. I had the Running Wolf, which we don't have featured.
Yes.
We don't have featured here, and we actually have shirts of
I
the
know.
Running Wolf.
Wearing the
saw
Running
that.
Wolf shirt.
Yeah, we're wearing the Running Wolf
You
shirt.
got a lot of traction on the socials for that.
For the Running
Running
yeah,
Wolf.
Yeah, the Running Wolf, dude. It's and so the Running Wolf. That's actually the last name of my grandpa.
Oh, that's
And,
cool.
Yeah, so that's actually where that comes from. Because I'm Native American.
Uh-huh.
I was born on a reservation, and whatever, did the whole, native life thing. And then I moved to Ohio later. But anyways, I tried to incorporate some of my heritage into some of these pedals. And initially, the first pedal that I did was the Running Wolf, which was kind of named after my grandpa. Mm-hmm. And that was a fuzz pedal. And I just thought it fit a wolf perfect. The second is the eagle feather, which, with my tribe, the eagle feather kind of represents, something it's kind of, when I graduated high school, when I graduated college, I was given, a feather. And, people inside my tribe, they give each other, eagle feathers and within my tribe. And what that kind of represents is it's kind of a ceremonial kind of thing. It's kind of a thing of honor. Mm-hmm. Instead of giving somebody a gift, like a lot of, people inside my tribe, they give each other an eagle feather. Mm-hmm. And that just kind of represents, it represents strength, honor, it kind of has this, honorable kind of thing to it. So I was like, this overdrive right here, the eagle feather, it's a high gain overdrive. So I thought, oh man, that'd be perfect because, high gain is, bold. You guys played it and it really has some strength behind it.
Oh yeah.
And, so that's kind of where I ended up getting the eagle feather. The name it's just a high gain overdrive.
I was way wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was thinking because you were talking about Stevie a bunch, and I know that he's worn feathers in his hat.
Yeah, he's worn the headdress and stuff.
But he's also had like peacock feathers and stuff. So I mean, Anyways, okay, that's cool. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, no. So so it kind of incorporated some of my heritage, and initially, I was trying to figure out. Because I have some other pedal names that, I have in the works, and some of those are actually going to be, towards my heritage. But
what tribe is it, by the way?
It's the Blackfeet. So we're located northwest Montana.
Interesting.
Yeah, and our reservation line actually extends into Canada.
Wow.
Too. So yeah,
It's funny because I was doing my research especially about the eagle feather because you didn't have anything on your site about it. And the Blackfeet stuff came up.
Yeah.
And I was like, I bet this is all tied together.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah. So
That's really cool, man.
And what's really cool too is if you actually go to and you research the Blackfeet flag.
Yeah.
The Blackfeet flag actually has something that's kind of close to this feather.
That's cool.
Our tribal colors are actually the blue, the Carolina.
And have you are they aware of this yet?
What?
Like,
Literally no one has.
That's awesome.
Like I told you guys, like this is the first time I'm kind of really describing it. I kind of threw some stuff out on Instagram. I threw, pictures of me with the stickers and stuff.
Yeah.
But tomorrow
I'm going to post the picture I just took.
Oh yeah, dude.
Right after
post
here.
it.
Yeah.
And so like I said, the first, set of, I guess, civilians or people are actually going to be able to play it tomorrow when I do the pre-release.
That's awesome.
And stuff.
This is the second big Montana mention we've had because Hank Donovan, who does the rattlesnake cables, he's out there.
Yeah, he's in Missoula.
Yeah.
We talked over Instagram one time.
Oh, that's cool.
I was like, where you at in Missoula? Because I was like, maybe I should hook up with him sometime. Because
you should.
Where I'm at is
That'd be great.
in Browning, Montana, and that's about 3.5 hours away from Missoula.
That's cool.
But we're still in that kind of mountainy area.
Yeah.
So it's and so that's kind of where I got the eagle feather. Well, as far as the sound wise, I'm people trash on it and whatever, but I'm a big John Mayer nerd as far as the live sound.
Guy's just banging guitar player.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
He is who he is because he's talented.
Yeah, he has
you can't
talent.
watch his face. But
You can't watch his face, whatever whatever else he does, like live, whatever. I don't care. But
the ladies love the John Mayer. Dude.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But I'm not. Yeah. But musician wise, dude's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I always listen I listen to a bunch of his guitar tone. His live sets.
Mm-hmm.
He what's the one that something lights like. Where the light is.
Where the light is,
Yeah,
yeah.
where the light is.
Oh, yeah, Where the Light Is.
Awesome show. John Mayer Trio. That dude, all that stuff's awesome.
Yeah.
But the thing is I even watched the rig rundowns of John Mayer, and it's like, he's not his sets or his pedal setup's not that complicated. I mean, it's overdrives, whatever. But the thing that was getting on my nerves was like, I was like, dude, I plug into an overdrive and I can't get it to scream like this. I can't get it to like have the high gain tone.
Mm-hmm.
I have to, one of the things that I ran into issue was like, I was like, I have no sustain, like a lot of overdrives, you go to, do like a bend or some kind of high note and it just cuts out on you. It has no support. So I wanted to do an overdrive that allowed you to get that high gain lead tone. But at the same time, you can still do those double stops like, that you hear a Hendrix. See, this is honestly like a Hendrix SRV kind of guitar pedal.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. So,
I said that with some foreshadowing. I wasn't just being a smarmy
that's
jerk.
very interesting.
No, because we have in our Would You Rather coming up, we allude to a few things. So.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So, so that's kind of the vibe I was going for, and I wanted, keeping it with the simplicity thing. I wanted something that I didn't have to run 500 pedals to get that tone.
Yeah.
Like I told you, the sustain, you guys played this. I don't know if you guys noticed, but after the gain actually stays about the same after 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
But you add more sustain past 1 o'clock.
Yeah. It wasn't a typical setting. Like I kept thinking, I was like, wait, what?
You're like, it kind of sounds the same, but
and I chose not to read the instructions because I was like, no, I just wanted to see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of what happens is after 1 o'clock, you get sustain. And I mean, that was one of the things that I would listen to Mayer play. And I'm like, you hear this, he bends a note and it's like, it just stays there forever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I want that. But I don't want to have to click 500 pedals on to do that.
Yeah.
And so the Eagle Feather was kind of, spawned out of that, and also the Steve Ray Vaughan stuff. And so
you have I think maybe the most noticeable thing is like typically on an overdrive you get like a tone control.
Okay, yeah. So
and you have a full EQ on that.
Yeah, exactly. So the overdrive, you got the range. Past 1 o'clock you get the sustain. Which is really cool. But then, as you start lowering it, you start kind of getting to a cleaner sound.
Yeah.
You start kind of almost getting into the mint drive where the mint drive left off. They kind of overlap each other.
Well, if you stack them, that sounds mighty fine.
Oh, dude, yeah. And that's really
what we
awesome.
did at Jared's
Wall of
house yesterday.
sound,
Yeah.
He had that Les Paul he's got over in the corner sitting there and plugged that in. So it was like, oh, mama.
Yeah, and you can stack them. And I just want to throw this out there. There are two different drives, too. The mint drive kind of has more presence in it, if that makes sense. The Eagle Feather over there just kind of, I don't know, it's a little bit more thicker, woolier kind of sounding, if that makes sense. But
are there any specific electronics that people might be looking for in any of these? You know what I mean? Like a specific kind of a chip or layout or anything like that. And I don't want to give away your secret sauce.
Yeah,
or anything,
I mean, no, they both use the same chip.
Okay.
The mint drive, if some of those gear nerds out there, it does have like the clipping stage on the mint drive allows more signal in it before it clips. So it's going to take a lot more signal before it clips, which is why you get that low to medium gain setting, because it's going to take more for it to drive. The Eagle Feather over there kind of has less. It's easier to clip. It's easier to distort. So yeah, it's and like I told you, if you're looking for that John Mayer, C. Ray Vaughan, Hendrixy tone, definitely shoot for that eagle feather. But like you mentioned, it has that EQ. It's a 3-band EQ, active 3-band EQ, which is awesome. Because one of the things that I ran into a bunch of overdrives is they have the tone setting.
Yeah.
And it's just a tone.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you go from one amp to another amp.
Especially if you use the old vintage amps, like that Bassman I have. It has a bass and a treble. That's it.
Yeah.
There's not even a middle.
Yeah, bass and
There's
treble.
not a master volume.
Exactly.
I mean, it's pretty bare. So the eagle feather is going to be
Exactly. And like, I'm trying to save customers money,
Yeah.
by allowing them to get a wide range, because, by time you pass through, you play a live gig, you have your amp tone, but then when you run through a microphone, that could also change the setting. So, and usually
who knows what the sound guy's doing.
Exactly. And usually what happens is you kind of lose your mids. To me, when I play live, a lot of times when somebody mics my stuff, I lose the mids.
Well, so that's a really interesting point, because I think, this, we were kind of noodling on this before,
Yeah.
but when you guys are talking about playing at home, anytime you're playing at home, you typically are playing by yourself, which means you aren't playing with the bass player. You don't have a drummer, and you probably don't have your second guitar player. So you typically create a fuller range of tone at home.
Yeah.
But when you're playing live, you like being able to find your place in between the drummer, the bass player, the second guitarist, and the vocalist. That's usually your mid-range.
Yeah.
Which people don't typically go home and say, cool, I'm just going to listen to mid-range all day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, unless you got a Vox, and then that's all you have. But, which I have, I'm not knocking on my level.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But you were kind of talking about that a little bit. I think a little bit earlier, we're just trying to get that range.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always the goal is like, you can sit home and fiddle with stuff all day, and then you go walk in the room with another guitar player, bass player, and a drummer, and then you're like, oh, none of this is working now.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, I always try to get my settings where I like them, and then, but it almost always ends up being like, well, I'll probably got to take some of the bass out of this now, and then, between amps and pedals, there's so much that can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then switching guitars a lot, like I switch guitars a lot, so it's like, again, you're changing everything.
Yeah.
And so my goal was to be able to just allow the customer to save money. Whether it's switching a new guitar, switching into a different amp. And the mid controls are one of the highest influences on your, as far as your tone. And so that's really kind of where I really wanted to, a lot of overdrives have that treble and bass, but I want to throw the mids, because I just think the mids are really
It's important.
Yeah. And so you can get a really wide flavor of overdrives from the Eagle Feather.
Awesome.
With that. Yeah.
One thing I want to mention real quick about the heat wave is you have your swell on that.
Okay.
Just touch on that quick, because then we're going to have to get to some other stuff.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah. So, all right. So what I told you about the heat wave, it has the tap tremolo.
Yep.
Well, okay. There's a bunch of tap tremolos in the market. Okay. So I wanted to kind of throw something in there. And what I have is the ramp setting.
Yep.
And the ramp settings is actually, I have a Leslie at my house that I, run my guitar into every now and then when
cool.
I'm feeling, adventurous. But the Leslie, alternates between a slow speed and a fast speed. And I was like, dude, how sweet would that be to be able to do that with the rate of a tremolo? So I threw that in there. And so when you go from tap to ramp with the switch, the tap button that you usually, tap in the beat to actually becomes your controller for the Leslie.
Yeah.
Like the speed. So it alternates between two sounds. And with that is the acceleration. And that controls how fast it goes from slow to fast.
Right.
And then I have you can actually control the boundaries of those two, the slow and the fast speed, which is really awesome, because you can kind of tell the tremolo, hey, I want it to start from here and go to here. and then how fast you want that to happen. So I threw that in there
a lot. And this, by the way, if listeners aren't familiar, haven't seen these boxes, these are standard size boxes. Yeah, that's a lot packed into a single box.
125B. Which is like your classic boutique. And I'll throw this out there too. A lot of people they don't realize this till I show them, but the ramp setting has, you can actually choose if you want it to ramp, whether you're holding it down or just clicking it. It has a momentary or latch. Yeah. So you can actually tap it and it will go to this fast speed and stay there. And then, or either you can hold it down. But if you actually do the latch, you can actually set your slow speed and your fast speed. So you can actually have 2 tremolos in one.
Jeez.
Which is really cool. And
did either of you guys get into that territory?
Yeah.
You turn
I mess with it, and then I had my helper guy. I said,
minion?
You have an apprentice?
I had it. Yeah, I do.
Am I the only guy here that doesn't have an apprentice?
And I said, hey,
a disciple.
I said, hey, man,
Padawan?
For the last hour, I'm going to pay you to play through these pedals.
Yeah.
Because I want to listen to them
while you work.
Oh, see, you're getting a bum deal. His minion's getting paid.
Hey, I bought this guy Penn Station.
Hey, there you go.
No, I'm playing.
We got
my minion does terrible work though. Yeah. So he needs paid.
Cool. Well, so the last thing I'll mention about the pedals, and then we'll get cracking on wrapping this up.
Yeah.
But these are really, like, you pull that out of the box, you're like, okay, someone definitely knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
The pedals are really well made. They are super solid. They're very well thought out. You got top mount jacks.
Yes.
Which are cool. I like those.
Yeah. Super slick.
It's just it's kind of weird because it looks and feels like it's coming from a big company.
It's got the right amount of everything, and it's all combobulated,
like Mikey's late night sliced pizza, which we're gonna have right after this.
Why do you have to divert my thoughts to food, man? That's my weakness.
Because you're the elephant in the room.
I like the mint. I love the design. It's not yelling at you, but it's there subtly. Yeah. And everything is designed perfectly.
It's kind of almost like a Boss kind of thing going on with it, which is like, you can just take a quick glance. You don't have to read the pedal and go, bang, I know what that is.
Yeah, I was talking about this earlier.
Perfect design.
And I was like, I lucked out with as far as how my pedals look, because they all kind of, the color represents the pedal, you know? And I chose a theme to where I don't have to come up with a crazy design for each pedal.
Yeah.
And, you look at you don't even have to read the name. You just see the color and you already know, hey, that's
the
an
emblem. Yeah.
And even the emblem's strong enough to show itself, which is, like I told you, simple. That's really what I was shooting for.
Keith and Jared, did you guys have any other things that were on top of your mind before we head into our final segment?
Well, I just wanted to say, kind of to that point, one of the things that really struck me about the pedals is visually, aesthetically, how they look. Like, I love the design. I think you did a good job explaining the story of kind of your heritage kind of playing a part, and they're all sort of tied in nature, and the naming, and I love like how it all kind of comes together, because then you think about them all on a chain on your pedal board.
Yeah. Well, and
like
we're both coming from a creative background too, so it's like that makes sense to us. Like we see this language, we can totally understand that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I thought that you incorporated your heritage as well. I love that. That opened my eyes a little more. Yeah.
It's just I'm just trying to it's just I'm really trying to personalize these. Like I told you, because there's so many pedals out there, and I had one pedal builder that asked me, because he was like just starting up and stuff, and he was like, "Dude, I love your products, man. What's your, what's some things that I can learn?" I was like, "Dude, just don't try being like somebody else." Just be you, because there's enough of somebody else.
Exactly.
And that's kind of where we're getting at with these pedals, is somebody's, there's a trend, and so everyone sets to that trend. Yeah. But just, I guess, as being your own, builder.
Solid. Yeah. Solid advice. Thank you for that. Okay, we're going to jump into our last segment, and then we're going to be on our way. Awesome. And this is our Would You Rather portion of the show. And we talked about it a little bit earlier. I'm going to make a little bit of a switch based on what we heard today.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Your fairy godmother comes around and wakes you up from a dead sleep. Okay.
I don't know where this came from, but go for it.
And she wakes you up. She says, Todd, or whoever, would you rather, now you can only have one or the other, would you rather have Stevie Ray Vaughan's guitar, the personalized guitar with the SRV on it, his guitar, the original, or would you rather have Jimi Hendrix's guitar, the white Stratocaster he used at Woodstock?
All right. Oh, see, that's why I changed it because you were talking about both of them there, Mike.
All right, so that actually fits me perfect.
Okay,
so
wait, hold on. We're
yes.
going to give your voice a break for 1 second.
Okay.
Keith,
Yes.
you're first up. Oh, on the hot seat.
Wow. Is the fact that Jimi Hendrix's guitar is left-handed come into play here? Like, can the fairy godmother
Restring
switch it around? Although, yeah, that's right. He just flipped him upside down.
Yeah.
I mean, those two guys were very instrumental in my beginnings as a guitar player. But I'd have to go Hendrix. There's no doubt.
All right. Jared?
That is a very difficult question. Oh, man. I just have to go Hendrix.
This is exactly what it's like ordering pizza, dude.
Wow.
It's hard.
I gotta have the
Ugh.
cheeseburger pizza.
Yeah. I love that pizza.
I know. Go ahead. Gotta have the Hendrix.
It's a Hendrix. Because they're both innovators, okay?
Yeah.
But I think he went a little more outside, and this is just simple opinion, so please don't attack me, okay? In my opinion, because his era was an earlier time, 10 years before him, Stevie Ray, he was a little more outside of the box, in my opinion. Jimmy was, yeah.
All right.
And so, gosh, I gotta go Jimmy. I'm gonna go Jimmy.
All right. Yeah,
I'm
two
sorry.
Jimmys.
choice.
Mike.
Dude, I'm gonna have to go Jimmy. And
Okay.
especially because I have an Olympic white Strat too.
There it is.
All right.
So like, I mean, it's kind of like my Strat, but I definitely have to do the Jimmy.
Okay.
I mean, that's like the roots of Stevie Ray Vaughan too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Without Jimmy, there would be no SRV. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, probably. Or at least not as we know it. It might have been different somehow.
maybe wouldn't have died in a helicopter crash either.
I don't know. Jeez.
Face.
Okay, well, I'm gonna lighten it up and just say I'm going Stevie Ray because
Thank you.
can't stand Stratocasters, so I want the one that looks
What?
cooler.
I seen him like, yeah. When we were talking Fender, he was just like, oh.
Yeah, no, I love Tellys.
I'm telling
I
you.
love Tellys.
Yeah.
I love Tellys, but I like Stratocasters are like kryptonite for me.
I am going to build a Stratocaster someday and then have you play it blindfolded and not let you know what it is.
just don't
And
think
you're going to
not
like
know
the
if
darn
it's a
thing. I
Stratocaster.
swear. One
No,
of these
I won't.
days.
I don't think you're playing the right Strat.
I've tried so many.
I think
and
that's your
can't-
problem.
I put it on. I'm like, get it off me. But if I'm gonna have it, I want it to be like, oh, visual. Like that's the one.
Yeah,
I can see
yeah.
that.
I want to make a note too.
All right.
Stevie Ray's guitar
Yeah.
is older than Jimi Hendrix's guitar, the
Yeah.
white guitar he played at Woodstock.
Yeah, but it's got a big SRV on it.
Sure, that too. But that guitar is older, though. I just wanted to point that out, even though Jimi Hendrix.
Just for the folks that
Yeah, sure.
listening in their armchairs at home.
That's right.
I like that.
Well, yeah. Well, I read the whole thing with his string gauge and stuff, playing like 12s and all that stuff.
Yeah.
split them, right? He used heavier strings.
Kind of like a hybrid.
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, well, it's like the power
Awesome.
sync.
So Todd over here is going to be
Super.
like bleeding with his fingers. His fingers are going to be bleeding.
Well, if I never have to pick up another Strat, I won't be sorry. But hey, that doesn't mean everybody loves Strats. I'm happy that you love them because there's passion behind that, and I'm for anything that people are passionate about. And we're all passionate about going to the bathroom right now. Not all together or anything, because that'd be weird. But we all have to leave the
As a
room because we've
team.
been in here for a long time.
Yeah.
I want to thank you,
Yes,
Mike,
sir.
for
Thank you.
coming down.
Oh, yeah.
And also your minion, Luke,
It's my, yeah.
And for Keith showing up, this is his first podcast
Thanks
with
for
us.
having me. It was a
And I
blast.
hope to have him on many more. And for Jared, muchas gracias. And
My pleasure being on here, as
Yeah.
always.
we're going to get some pizza. And the rest of you can subscribe.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit us at our website at theguitarknobs.com for episodes, news, and guest profiles. You can get all social with us on our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/guitarknobs. Give us a tweet at guitar_knobs. And check out our gallery on Instagram at guitarknobs.